Hey, my name's Jackson Katie. I live in Grovedale. I'm 9 years old, and what I like about racing is going fast.
What dirt bikes do you have? What do you ride?
And I ride a KTM 65 and a KTM 50.
The Coming Up Next Time podcast is made possible with help from our friends at Bow Valley DJ, Yeti Mechanical Systems, as well as Built to Ride. If you enjoy this podcast, one of the best ways you can help out is to share it with a friend. Share links to your favorite episodes on your socials. If you wish to contribute directly, head over to www.comingupnexttime.com and become a patron. All funds raised will go towards our giveaways, as well as they help out local clubs through our sponsorship program. Coming Up Next Time is a proud sponsor of the Rocky Mountain Dirt Riders Association. Since 2004, Rocky Mountain Dirt Riders Association has been working to take care of our local Alberta trail systems. Whether you're an experienced rider or new to the sport, the RMDRA welcomes you. Hello everybody and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Barrymore. My next guest has produced dozens of instructional videos, everything from tire compounds to body positioning, posting them on YouTube. He's one of the most charismatic people I've ever had the pleasure to chat motorcycles with. His excitement for the sport is so infectious, you just can't help talking to him without wanting to go for a ride as soon as you can. From his website I found this line, and it describes him pretty well. He has a distinct knack for being able to break down complex moves into individual essential techniques. He's known to do things over and over again until he gets them right. I'm excited to share this one with you. Coming up next, this is the
Cool. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't realize my I don't really use Google Chrome. I should have, but I had to sign in to my mail or whatever. So yeah, sorry.
It's
Anyway,
okay, dude.
We're all good.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping through all the hurdles. Worst case, we just use the phone. Like I've made it work.
Yeah.
It's just
for sure. But I hope that everything looks good and sounds good.
Oh yeah, man. I got a little bit of studio envy. Yours is all decked out. Like,
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, it looks really nice, man. Like,
I just got done with that. I'm doing this like 10-part series on the IRC Moto YouTube. So it's given me a little bit of time. We filmed them all already and edited. They're all done. So it's given me like 10 weeks to like redo everything. So I redid the studio and, bought some different lenses, bought a different desk and stuff. I'm going to change up how I kind of film everything. And
this looks good though.
Stoked on the update.
Yeah, man. Like it's the tiniest shit, but, I mean, it always moves forward. Like I changed my logo over the years, just tiny little things, small changes.
Yeah.
And
sure.
It looks nicer and I don't know, whatever, man. Like,
yeah, it just gives people like a little bit of like, I like put books and stuff and things that I don't have very many trophies to be honest, but, I've got the ones that I care about and the things that I'm proud of, like Geico. A lot of people don't have that many, those towels, right?
Yeah.
You get one of those if you're on the podium. So, it's things like that, it's like, this is my first race win ever right there, which was cool.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So I just keep all the little dumb things and kind of, personal flair, right? That makes it better.
Yeah. And I think that, it makes it your space. Like no one can recreate your studio.
Yeah, right.
And then all those little things, like the guys and girls that nerd out are like, oh, that's the whatever. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, dude, I look like putting it all up. Like it was all in my garage. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I had all my trophies and stuff in my garage and like, going through them and like picking the ones that I was like, oh, that was my first race or that was my first like AMA event and, and whatever, all of the little things along the way that are kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was my first win and that was my first like amateur win and stuff like that. So the things that kind of molded me along the way, it was fun to kind of go through and pick them all out. So yeah, I'm pumped on it. Thanks, man.
Hey, no trouble. Like, yeah, I like it. So I guess some of the things I'd like to know, how did you become the IRC Tire Guy of all things? Like, I mean, that's a crazy name. Like, and then
yeah, man,
the guy. Like,
Yeah. So, dude, I always say this on any interview that I do, but there's a million different things that have happened to me throughout my whole entire life that have led me to where I am now. And I'm very lucky to be doing what I love and riding motorcycles. And dude, that's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a little kid is ride, man. I've been obsessed with motorcycles since I was, That's my first memory is my oldest brother riding a motorcycle, So, as far as the IRC Tire Guy thing, I was racing endurocross. I wasn't the best endurocross racer by any means. Endurocross is so intense. It takes a serious moto style on top of a trial style, and especially nowadays, the tracks have gotten more and more fast. And I was okay, I was an okay endurocross guy, but at the time, I was in points, like top 15 in points. And I sent an email to IRC and said, hey, I've used your guys' tires. I was honest with them. I said, I really like the IX09W. I'm using it for my practice tire, and I use a Dunlop 756EX for racing. And this was like back in 2016. Sent that to them, and they said, hey, well, are you interested in riding for us? I said, absolutely. I'd love to ride for you guys. And it was just a lucky thing. Like, they didn't have anybody ride endurocross. Like, I happened to be, doing okay. Again, I wasn't like I was killing it by any means, but I was fine. And they were interested. I said, hey, I'd love to do some promotion. Here's my media. And I'm interested in that as well as racing. And like a week later, I got a stack of tires from Japan, and I was so excited about that. Every sponsorship I've had is like always been like a stepping stone. And I try to, I try to make as much value for my sponsors as I possibly can. And that was a huge step for me, was getting that IRC sponsorship. And then from there, like, I started, racing a little more hard enduro, and I think I'm better at hard. I still think I'm better at hard enduro. I have a few AMA top 10 results that I'm really proud of. My best finish was a 6th. I was proud of those results, and using their tires throughout that whole thing, and kind of building a relationship with IRC. Essentially, they realize that this industry is changing, right? And that's the biggest thing that I look for in a company, is that they are very aware of the change that's happening. There's not 4 channels on TV anymore, right? ABC Wild World Sports is not a thing, right? Not everybody tunes in to Supercross. Back in the day, they used to. And everything in the industry is now kind of been, I would say, distilled down in a way to social media and clips, right? And you love it or hate it, it is what it is. And that's the way that the industry has now started to turn. Even though there's still, big sponsorship in racing and everything, IRC understood that media was a great way to get the brand's name out there. And at the time, no one was running IRCs, and except for me. So my idea, and a friend of mine, Matt Musgrove, he's actually running he's from Elevated Action Sports. He's running the Hard Enduro Series here in the US right now. And Mark Aikita, which is my boss from IRC, we all sat down and came up with the idea of kind of how to use media to get IRC's name out there. And one of the big ideas was a YouTube channel. So I kind of said, I'd love to do that. And I started being kind of the face of IRC, explaining what the products were. And then it kind of morphed into techniques. And from there, it really started to grow because people enjoy techniques. And, it really, we don't even talk about tires on the channel. We do from time to time, but we're never, like, honestly, the cool thing about IRC is they're like, I don't care if you buy our tires. Like, as long as the industry is growing, as long as more people are buying gummy tires in general, whatever gummy tire you buy, as long as this sport is growing, hard enduro is getting bigger, we're stoked. And that to me speaks volumes about IRC. It's like, they're just like, yo, put out good content. They don't ever check what I'm doing.
Oh, wow.
They don't know what my next video is. Like, they're just like, hey, put out good content. And I'm like, okay, I will. And it's killer. So I put out good content. We've built a following from 0 subscribers in 2019 is when we started the channel. And here we are 50,000 subscribers later. And people enjoy the content. People enjoy to learn how to ride a motorcycle better. And hey, it gets the name IRC out there. And if you like the content and you like, listen, the tire's good too.
Yeah.
And if you feel like buying one, buy one, right?
Yeah.
And if not, it's all good as long as you're riding dirt bikes. That's our kind of our motto, right?
That's a super cool motto. Like it's sort of terrible for in a business sense, but like
yeah. It's funny. You would think it's I don't know.
It's just counterintuitive, I guess.
Exactly. It's counterintuitive, much like anything, right? You ride a motorcycle, a lot of times techniques are counterintuitive. The things that you would think that's the way that I need to do that. It's not. There's so many counterintuitive things about riding a motorcycle, right? And I don't know, dude. Sometimes I think the whole like heavy-handed, like, hey, we're the best and you should buy our tire because we have 1 million championships. I don't know, dude. It's not the, I don't know. It doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
Like honesty and sincerity resonates with me. And truly that's the sincere thing about IRCs. They're just like I said, they don't even check the content that I make.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
They're just like, put out good stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I make videos every week and put them out. And, I have calls with them and we make plans and try to make things better and try to keep the needle moving forward. But, again, I think sincerity and I think not being heavy handed in like, hey, you have to run our stuff. And if you don't run IRC, I don't like you. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. That to me resonates more than the latter. Right.
Yeah. Well, I like it. Like, I mean, and from an audience point of view, like I was a new rider and the people who were showing me the techniques, you'd often try to get with what they've got, right? Like equipment wise and things like that. So you're on the same footing and there's no difference and all that kind of stuff. So I can see the subtle sales pitch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, that's exactly right. And it's neat because I am very proud of where the company has gone and the work that we've done. It's literally just a group of dudes that are rad. Like that's the rad, and it's not very many of us. Like we're really small, and the work that we've done is it's really commendable, and I'm really proud of it because like I said, in 2016 there was one guy running IRCs, and it was me.
Okay, and
now we just signed Taddy Blazuziak to a multi-year contract. He's going to be running IRCs. He's going to be doing videos with me on the channel. He's a hero of mine. Like that guy literally kind of got me into the sport.
Oh, really?
And so to go from being the only guy running the tire and like working our way forward, and now Taddy is riding for us. Like, dude, it's really awesome. And I go on rides and. Just the other day I was driving down the road here in Salt Lake and I saw dudes drive by. They had 2 Shercos in the back of their truck and both of them had IRCs on the back. And 5 years ago, I was the only one that had them and now you see them on the road and it's just like, dang, that's really cool. And it's neat to know that you're making a little change and inspiring people to try a tire that they might like and inspire people to try to ride motorcycles better, man. That's dude, I just want everybody to love riding and as much as I do, dude. I just get stoked thinking about riding, talking about, dude, I wrote like an episode today on my computer for like 5 hours, just thinking about form and technique and trying to dissect every little bit of how to properly do something. And I love putting that content out and I love seeing the response to it. And I love seeing people say, dang, that worked and it helped me. And I just love this stuff, man. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, man. It comes through. Like it comes through loud and clear how much you love motorcycles and like how much you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Like it's infectious, man.
I hope so, dude. I hope so. And I'm always like worried about like being like, I don't know, I don't ever want to come off in the wrong way. Sometimes people, I'm sure, people can take certain things in a wrong way, but, I'm so lucky to be, who I am and the life that I've lived all the way to now. And you know, I want to keep working hard, and I want to keep people stoked on riding. Again, I want everybody to feel how awesome it is to conquer something that they never thought they could do. There's so many things like that throughout my career that I've like, I never would have thought I'd be able to do. And now I can do them, whether that be a technique specific thing or just creating my own business on a motorcycle, making a living riding a dirt bike. You know, I always say that 7-year-old Rich is stoked.
I could only imagine.
You know, he's like, dude, you're doing it. Keep it going. And I'm trying, you know, I'm trying to stoke that freaking 7-year-old kid that cleaned horse stalls for his first dirt bike. You know, that was that's nice. What it's all about.
So then, would you say this is a dream job then? Like, yeah, I think so.
Without a doubt. You know, I always say to people like, you know, I was thinking about it. You know that your life is good and you're lucky and you're happy if you could win the lottery and end up doing the same thing. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I don't really even like, I don't need to win the lottery. And I feel like I have. And, you know, through everything in my life, man, I'm so lucky to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm so grateful to be able to do it. And, yeah, man, like I won the lottery. If I had $1 million, I'd just be doing the same thing.
That's crazy.
I would try to invest more into the sport. Maybe maybe I'd start my own team or something. I don't know, but regardless, I'm stoked.
Buy a bunch of bikes and just take underprivileged kids on rides. Like, come on.
Yeah, maybe, dude. I mean, that would be sick. Maybe I'd do it for free. Like, I would. I love teaching. I love doing private lessons. I love, you know, it's a rad way to pay the bills for sure. Yeah. You know, there's no lying about that. Like, I mean, you know, to travel somewhere, and like I taught, you know, a few places across the United States this year, and like, you fly in, you just say, hey, somebody got a bike I can borrow, you get on it and teach a group of guys. And at the end of it, everybody comes up and says, that was well worth the money. Cool. Like, that's my whole goal, is like, I want everybody to feel like they get way more than they're paying for a lesson. Like, you know, I want you to walk away being like, oh, dang, that was absolutely worth the $250 that I paid for it. You know, you went all day and I'm tired. And now I'm, you know, I feel awesome about my progression and the way that I'm working. That's what I want. And yeah, like I said, you know, it pays the bills, but man, it's work, right?
Yeah.
I'm literally riding wheelies and goofing around.
I know,
helping people better all day.
It can be stressful though. It's not like for free. I mean, like there's got to be a cost to you on some level.
Of course. And, you know, now with I've kind of created my own business, and I do a lot of different things to make the income that I need to support my life and what I do. You know, you start to talk with accountants, and they tell you how much money do you need to make, and you go, oh, okay, I got to work a little harder on this or that. And, you know, but dude, I did it for free for a long time. Yeah. You know, I did it for debt for a long time. I was swiping the credit card for a long time. And now to be able to do it and make, you know, good money and a livable wage. And like I said, I'd do it for freaking $32,000 a year, but you know, barely enough I'd be scraping by, but, and that'd be fine with me. But, I've been very lucky, and things have started to really click along, and I'm proud of it. And I just want to keep going, and I want to keep grinding and spreading the word of the sport. Right.
That's crazy, man. I wish that I had like half of your enthusiasm just with life. Like it is, it's crazy, man. Like,
well, yeah, dude, I think the fact that you're doing you're doing a podcast, you're trying to, you know, build your own thing, that takes enthusiasm. If you didn't want to, we wouldn't be doing this.
It's right? Fair. It can be a grind.
You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, today I wrote for like probably 5 or 6 hours, just thinking about, cornering technique. I really want to break down the problems that I see with riders and cornering technique, blah, blah, blah. But I sat and wrote for 5 or 6 hours, and dude, I was like, after I had to go to the bank and do some things. And after I was like, dude, I got to do this podcast. And like, you know, you're a little bit like pulled down by all the things that you need to do. But I start talking about bikes and I'm stoked again.
Yeah, that's right.
So here we are and I feel great. You know what I mean? So, those things, hard things are good, right? If it's hard, hard things teach you who you are. And that's why I love motorcycles, because it's so hard. It's so hard to be good. It's so hard to be competitive. It's so hard to be, the level always gets higher and higher and higher. And it's so challenging to be, whether it's competitive in that or just competitive with yourself, in the sport, if you're competing, or just, again, like myself, I don't really even compete anymore, but I'm still competitive mentally. And I always want to try to make myself better. And dude, it's hard to always make yourself better. Like that feeling of progression is, you don't always feel like you're progressing. It's sometimes it plateaus.
Yeah.
That plateau is like a rough thing sometimes it's a dip even, and it's a rough thing to get out of. Right. And I think that hard things make you inspire you to keep going. And it's like, if I can do, it's like, dude, I took cold showers only for a year. Wow. That's an example. I was like, I'm going to take cold showers. I'm never taking a hot shower. For this year, I will not take one hot shower. Right. So I just decided to do that. And then that was the decision. And it's hard. It's hard to do that. But there's this weird thing that hard things create this inspiration inside of you to like, that you can keep going. It's you versus you. That's something that's important to me is bettering yourself every day, and anyway, yeah, dude.
Yeah, I always tell people, if life gives you a choice between an easy path and a hard path, the easy path is a trick. Take the hard path.
Yeah, dude. That's the what is it? Robert Frost, right? Two roads converge in a wood, and I took the path less traveled by, right?
Yeah,
and that's made all the difference. That's the end of that saying, is that has made all the difference. The path less traveled, it makes all the difference. Often it's a joke, but people will see me like ride over a bunch of boulders or something, something rad, right? I'll ride over something, and then people will say, why don't you just go around it? Or like a log in the woods, you'll see me ride over and they go, I would just go around it. And I say, well, I take the path less traveled, and that makes all the difference. And
there's a great video of you stringing together a whole series of successes through a river bottom or whatever. And there's like an outtake at the end of you trying to get over this one rock over and over and over, tons and tons and tons of fails. And like the first version of the video, you just look like Teflon, like you're just like smooth as shit. Everything is like going. Yeah, right. And it's all illusion, right? Like, cause that was the point of the video, dude. And then how you made that.
Yeah, man. And it's human nature to want things to be easy, but the more realization you can have of just like, this is going to suck. This is going to be a grind. It's going to be hard. The better, right? Dude, there's been lines that aren't even that cool, but they've taken me like 100. There was one line that took me like 170 tries. Literally. It was 170 tries.
That's insane.
And dude, it wasn't even that cool, but I just wanted to get it. And there's a thing that happens when you're like, I'm going to succeed in this. Yeah. And I don't care how cool it looks. I don't care what the video's like. I'm going to get this. And then when you get it, dude, it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling.
So how do you get your video ideas? Like, what's your process? Like you're working on this cornering one. So you had the idea that you need to help people with cornering, we'll say. And then then you give up 5 hours of your life sort of like defining that mission, breaking it down, as you said, through all the little moments of the turn, how to set up, how to get through and get out. And then you go to filming it. Like, how do you translate that, whatever, the nugget in your brain to what it is we're going to see on YouTube?
Yeah. So, this whole thing was a long process. Like, so first the first thing I say is most riders, they want to get better at technical stuff. Usually technical terrain is the place where riders make the most mistakes, right? When the speeds are slow.
Yeah.
So most of my techniques are fundamentally based, and they're fundamentally based around slow speed progression, right? So we're talking about static balance. We're talking about clutch control. We're talking about the ability to control your machine on flat ground at 0 miles an hour for the most part, right? And I always say, if you can't control your machine on flat ground, how can you expect to control your machine when it matters, right? You need to be able to do everything possible on flat ground first before we even get onto the trails, right? Ideally. And so I've been working on these progressions that are fundamentally based. We focus on those slow speed skills, learning to keep your feet on the pegs, how to uncouple from the bike, movement, control, all of that. And through that, we started this series with Marky Keita, my boss, doing this 10-part series. We're on episode 6 right now, and it's basically 10 episodes of exactly what you would be doing if you took a lesson from me.
Okay.
Right? So, it's all based on fundamental slow speed skill. And that's going to help you the most in technical situations. Well, as you kind of progress through that, there's obviously the next step is to learn how to do things at speed. You know, there's a million steps to riding a motorcycle good. There's unlimited steps, right? And I always say there's no such thing as mastery, right? You can't master this sport. Just like anything, you can't, there's always somebody that is going to do it better. So technically you can't call it mastery because it just keeps going. It keeps progressing. Well, after this series kind of has wrapped up, I've been thinking about what that next step is for this the next YouTube videos I want to do and things that I haven't done. Again, hard things. I want to do things that are hard. And I'm a good technical rider. I can ride slow speed really well. I have good balance. I have good clutch control. I'm good at hard enduro for the most part. And I'm not saying I've mastered it by any means, but I am very good at it. That being said, something I've always lacked is speed. And even earlier, I was talking about endurocross, right? Endurocross, as the tracks got faster, my results went down and down. And that's because I never worked on high speed stuff. And I've started to work on that more and more. And it's kind of inspired me to start to make videos on it. Well, and my process in learning my own speed and then also teaching other people, I have some students that come out and ride turn track with me and, the things that I see, the mistakes that they make. So all of that has kind of inspired me to create this next series that's going to kind of come out this year called Adaptability. And essentially what I want to be is the most adaptive personally. My personal challenge is to be the most adaptable rider possible, right? I want to be able to face anything with speed, confidence, control, whether that be a sand corner, whether that be a hard pack corner, whether that be a boulder, a rock, a wall, a hill climb, whatever it is. I want to be the most adaptable rider that I can be. The riders that I look up to are the most adaptable. Colton Haker, Taddy Blazusiak, Cody Webb, Tristan Hart, the guys who are killing it right now. They are the riders that I look up to. And look at Billy Bolt, look at Johnny Walker, right? Billy Bolt, especially, he's so fast. He can rip a motocross track. Yeah. And he can go dominate endurocross, and he can also win hard enduros, right? Whatever you throw at him, he's going to do it very good. Yeah. And to me, that is this amazing new form of riding that has started to really come out with hard enduro and endurocross. Riders who can rip moto as well as get into technical situations and basically ride the bike like a trials bike, right? So again, I want to be the most adaptable rider that I can be. And that's been this focus for the last 6 months. I've been riding a lot of turn track. I've been riding a lot of moto and just trying to be the fastest, best rider that I can be. And that's the place where I lack. So that's what I've been focusing on. And so through that, I've started to, learn little things about things that have helped me personally in my technique. Whether it be separating the steps of a corner, that was a big thing about the episode that I wrote today, was just about separating the steps, instead of meshing everything together, braking late, sitting early, standing late, accelerating early, doing those mistakes that everybody makes, separating them out and learning steps to allow you to separate them to make you more efficient in the corner. And then slowly those steps can become faster and faster and faster. That's basically what this episode's about. And so now that I've wrote it, the next step is going out and filming the things that I need. I would probably read the episode 5 or 6 times, writing the clips that I'm mentioning in the episode. I'm visualizing, okay, when I'm talking about transitioning from rear brake to the balls of your feet on the pegs, I want a shot of me transitioning from rear brake to balls of my foot on the pegs, right? So I'll write down all the shot list, essentially. I'll go out, I'll film the things that I need, get the drone shots. This episode will probably take 2 days to film, riding wise. Maybe I can do it in 1. But anyway, I'll film everything and then come home and, film the talking part in this studio. I got a little teleprompter and I read out the thing. And then start editing it together and seeing if I need to go out and get more extra shots, B-roll, whatever I need for the video. Continue the editing process and then upload it to YouTube and come up with a good title and thumbnail, and hopefully people enjoy it.
That's crazy. And so, I mean, you've always been super generous. Like, you've always given all this stuff away.
Yeah.
Do you feel that that causes like static for you with other people?
That's a great question, man. I don't know, dude. Like, static, with other trainers.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, if people get upset.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah. So I have a couple opinions about that. So I would say, for me personally, so let's just talk on my level of things.
Yeah.
The way that I see it is, I will give you every tip possible about how to ride a motorcycle. Okay. I can tell you every little thing that I know personally and every experience that I'd have and things that have helped me in that experience. And I will tell them, put them out, give them to you for free. You can watch all the hours of video and even watch the video and go and try it as best as you can on your own. And there will never be a replacement for you coming and taking a lesson from me.
Yeah.
Because you can't see yourself move on the machine like I can. Even if you're filming yourself, maybe that's the highest level of you being able to learn the things on your own. But even then, I mean, how often can you film yourself? How often can you make adjustments? Where do you need to make adjustments? There's a lot of things that are happening that you don't know are happening. And a good trainer, somebody that's good at training someone, can see those things and help you work your way through and help you notice, become aware, right? Self-awareness, just knowing those are the mistakes that you're making. A good trainer can see those things, and you can't get it through YouTube. You can't get it through video. You can't. So if someone was to say like, oh man, he just gives away all the secrets on how to ride a motorcycle, I go, well, I don't know all the secrets. And what's it to you? Get better, right? Like, I mean, if it's anything, it would be like selfishness, right? Because I'm giving everything away. You would think that people aren't going to take a lesson, I guess, or are already going to know how to do it. I don't think that's true at all. If you're absolutely sure about your ability to teach, then dude, like I said, I'll put every bit of everything out on the internet, and I guarantee I can still teach you better face-to-face than all the videos in the world. And that goes for me, and that goes for any other trainer. I think there's so many good trainers out there. It's like, dude, take all the lessons in the world. Take a lesson from every freaking trainer that you can get your hands on. Because there are people that know, there's plenty of dudes that know way more than me. And the ability to go and take a lesson from them is the first step in your ability to improve and become aware of your issues on the motorcycle and how to get better. And yeah, dude, like I said, there's no such thing as mastery. This never ends. So,
no chance.
Yeah, you just got to keep grinding and doing the best thing that you can do.
Yeah. I always felt the best you can do is become proficient. Like,
yeah, man.
Like,
yeah.
You know, it's just like, I ride street bikes and then I'm on off-road and whatever. And just like, it's all different. The skills that you gain in one don't translate to the other and vice versa. Like,
absolutely, man. And, you know, the skills, you know, it's one of those things. Again, I think adaptability should be everyone's goal. You know, you should be able to, no matter what, come around a corner and know that you can conquer whatever the obstacle is in front of you. And the best way to do that is ride a huge number of things, you know, ride as many things as you possibly can. And, you know, don't be afraid to take on a new challenge, just like I am right now. It's like, this is a new challenge for me, writing episodes about high speed technique, you know, and it was like, I'll tell you, in my head, I'm going like, dang, you know, I'm not the fastest dude by any means. Now I can ride a sand track fast. I can ride moto fast. I'm fast for sure. I'm above average, but dude, there are dudes out there that are unreal on the motorcycle. Their speed is absolutely unmatched, right? I mean, and there's trainers out there that can, you know, teach you those things really, really well. But the way that I kind of, I guess, justified it, if I have to justify it in my head, was these are my experiences on how I have approached a corner and gained speed. And, you know, maybe it's the same, you know, how many episodes on YouTube, if you put in how to corner on a motorcycle, how many episodes are you going to see on YouTube? There's a million different tutorials, right, on how to corner on a motocross bike, 100%. But each tutorial has its own, you know, its own perspective, right? And the way that I realized was, oh, well, I have my own perspective on how I came into learning how to corner faster. And certain things from my perspective maybe haven't been told. And, you know, I can guarantee that this episode that I wrote, you know, I've never seen anyone talk about it in this way. Now, the end result is the same as any other tutorial. You're going to end up learning how to corner faster for sure. Yeah. But the way that you get there is a completely different path. And that goes right back to the same thing that I was talking about with you and, you know, worrying about maybe other trainers getting offended by me putting out all the content in the world or other people or whatever. The path that you could receive from another trainer might resonate more with you and that other trainer than it would with me or another trainer or another trainer. That's why I say, take all the lessons from every single person who trains on motor. You know, you never know what would click, man. I've had things click for me from people that aren't as good at riding compared to myself. Right. I mean, I know I'm better than, you know, I remember this one time I was doing this line and I was having a student film this like technical line. It was a girl. She's 100% beginner. Like we just got done with the lesson. I was like, hey, would you film this line? I'm trying to do this line and I couldn't get this thing. And she said, I think that you need to stoppie a little bit further. Like you're every time you stoppie early, it's not working. Go a little bit deeper into your stoppie. I was like, okay. And I did it and it worked. Right. So now I could have been like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm a better rider than you. Yeah. But that's all ego BS. And that's right. You know, again, man, at the end of the day, all I want people to do is get better with riding and get better at riding. And if you feel like, you know, I'm doing a disservice by putting all the information out for free, I think you got your own issues. Yeah, so do I. Like, yeah. I know what you mean about too, the clicking. Good question though.
I took a DJ course during the pandemic, like a scratch DJ course put on by the Beat Junkies, and they had something called Homeroom. So it was free for everybody. Then they went to like a pay version, but during the free thing, they had like 4 different instructors, and 3 of them I couldn't jive with. We're all doing the same thing, right? Like it's the same instruction, whatever. But actually, there's 5 guys. One just come and go every now and then. But 2 of them, just the way they laid it down, I could pick it up, right? Like, and it's just, they're all on the same level. They're all freaking masters of the talent. Sure. Just like, but I found some guys are too cool. I just couldn't stick with their class. Like, if that makes sense. Like,
man. And that's a great point is, again, I honestly, like, let's say someone who's a trainer would be like, if they said something like that to me, like, hey, I think I'd be like, dude, it's all good. And I would probably still recommend my students go and take a class from that person.
Yeah.
Like if it makes you a better rider, I don't care where you get it from or how you get it. Just try to progress, try to be better, try to, focus on you and be the best possible you that you can be, right? I mean, this sport, the better you get at it, the more you realize, and the more that I realized through all my, uneventful career as a dirt bike rider in competition, the more I realized of course, I trained very hard. I worked really hard. I did everything that I needed to do to be the best that I could be. But the last thing that I was focusing on was my mental game. Okay. And I realized most of what I do, or most of what any, really high level rider does, is they compete with themselves. The best riders in the world aren't competing with another rider. And of course they are, but when you hear riders say, listen, I put in the work and they'll trust the process thing, right? People say trust the process, but they aren't actually trusting the process. I used to say that same thing. Oh yeah, I'm training hard, trust the process. But then I'd show up on race day and I'd be thinking about why I need to finish in this place so this would happen. Oh, if I can finish in this place, I'll get this sponsorship. If I get this sponsorship, I'll get this. If I get this, I'll become this. I'll become a factory and this and this and so forth and so forth, and then I'll be happy. But you're missing the whole process. You're thinking about the finish line, right? Yeah. And this is the thing I always say to people is like, why is it that we see so many riders crash on the last lap, right? White flag comes out. We see riders make mistakes on the white flag, especially when the pressure's on. It's because they're thinking about the finish line. You're thinking about ending the race. You're not thinking about racing. Presence.
Yeah,
exactly. Being where you're standing, where your feet are, hitting every single mark, right? Hit your marks. That's what that means is you have to be centered, presence. The best in the world have ultra presence, right? Ultra presence is the state of where you're not even trying, right? Everything is instincts, and you are in an ultra state of focus on where you are. Every mark is hit. You can't make a mistake. It's effortless. Your movements are effortless. And dude, that is something that we all strive for. Everybody who's rode a motorcycle maybe has been in a little bit of a state of flow. You can get in a state of this ultra presence in the most beginning techniques. And sometimes I'll even trick more beginner students to get into there. If we can teach you a certain control drill, right? Full lock turn drill. And then I add a little bit of something to it. Maybe we need to make a extra turn. We want to make an extra turn in this space. That extra turn takes their focus off of what they're doing. And sometimes if you can, hit the repetitions enough, when they come off of their focus on what they're doing and think about the next turn, they almost instinctually make things happen.
Yeah.
And those instincts are the things that we're trying to always tap into. And it's hard to get to them, and at the high level, of course, there's been times where, at my best races, I didn't feel like I was even trying. I felt like I had more in the tank. And that's what we're all striving for is again, ultra presence, being centered, not thinking about the finish line, being here. And man, I always say to guys, if you start a hard enduro and you're 5 minutes in and you're thinking about the finish line 4 hours from now, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
you don't want to be doing that, right? So
That's
that's the thing, man. Presence. Yeah, you're fucked. Presence, man. Ultra presence. That's what you need.
Yeah, I call like that moment there, I call that the little voice. Like it shows up in the show often, right? That little voice, learning how to like just ignore it so you can get to the end, because everybody likes the finish line, right? Like,
oh, the finish line's the best. It's the best when it's over. And that's when you love racing. You're like, when it's over, you're like, wow, especially when you do well. Yeah. You're like, that was so much fun. But honestly, during, especially hard endurals, dude, you're in pain. It's horrible. You're pushing
the hard
yourself
part is
to
really
the absolute limit.
It's underemphasized what hard means in hard enduro.
Yeah, dude. I mean, in training, like, it's winter here in Utah, but the sand has been pretty good. So I've been riding a lot of sand track. Again, we're talking about these corner technique videos. Yeah. I've been riding a lot of sand track. And, when I set a timer and say I'm doing a 30-minute moto, dude, it sucks. It's horrible. Starting that, like pushing the timer and going off, it's just like, oh, I don't want to do this. And, gearing up, driving out to the place, whatever it is. I hate all the things around the 30-minute moto. But then I get going. I kind of get into that present state. I start to feel it. I put down a good moto. I get done. I do my training, whatever it is. And then when I'm loading up my bike, I'm like, that was fun.
That's nice.
But during, it was hard. During, I was pushing everything, every bit of me. I was sick. I'm pushing my body to the absolute limit. And, during it sucks. So it's before it sucks. But when it's over, it's like, that was awesome. I'm ready to do it again tomorrow.
Would you compare it to like the runner's high that they speak of?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's another thing is like, there's that wall, right? Yeah. Everybody talks about the wall, right? In running. And, there's a lot of, I guess, theories around what the wall is, but, I've been eating so I eat, this is a super, people freaking, yeah, this is a whole thing. The controversial stuff, dude, like they say, like, don't talk about religion or politics at the dinner table. Yeah. Also, don't talk about diet to anyone, because they'll just tell you you're wrong, and they'll be. It's exactly the same. It's just it's a religion. But I eat one meal a day. I fast every single day. I've been doing that for the last 4 years, probably. I eat one meal every 24 hours. I haven't ate yet today. Once we're done with this, I'm going to eat. Nice. I always say I don't eat until the hardest part of the day is done. And that, to me, not only is it help, I perform really well on an empty stomach. Again, I bet there's people that'll listen to this that are yelling at their screen or through that. They're just like, dude, this dude doesn't know what but I work really well in ketosis, where I don't have any glucose. My liver is excreting ketones, and I'm excreting fat, and I'm burning fat. That's what I'm running on, is burning fat. And I run the best in that situation. I've rode hard enduros on an empty stomach and felt great doing it. The whole thing is, again, it's hard. There's a certain point where when your body changes from glucose to ketosis, that transition of your body goes, hey, I don't have any more glucose stores. Now it's transitioning to ketosis. It feels like you have molasses in your blood. Like it's like, you feel like you're full of slug. Yeah. You're like full of oil. And at that point, that's kind of that wall, that place. But the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the quicker your body adapts, and the easier it is, right? Just like anything, right? The more you lift the weight, the easier the weight becomes, right? Mm-hmm. And that wall teaches you so much, man. And you'll hit it in a hard enduro, and that's where you learn so much about yourself. You learn about, you said, that little voice. I've had it to where that voice is so loud in telling you to quit. Like, it will convince you of crazy things. It'll convince you to, and it makes sense in your head at the time. Yeah. When you're in so much pain, it's like, dude, I just want to quit and smash my bike. so I can tell everybody I got a mechanical. Like, you want to lie to people because
Honest
it
lie,
sucks
though.
so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to quit, but I don't want people to know that I quit. So I'm going to smash my bike with a rock and say I wrecked.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's how you're going to that limit. And at that limit, if you have a little bit of awareness, you can go, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
that's it. But those thoughts come into your mind, and
For me,
it's eye-opening.
For me, my mind always says, it's been longer than 2 minutes since you last saw a flag. Yeah. You're lost.
Yeah, right? That's a good one.
It hasn't
That's a
been
good
2
one.
minutes.
You'll convince yourself.
Yeah.
You'll convince yourself that you're lost. Dude, when I set a timer, like on my phone, I'll set a timer for a Moto, right? And I put it in my backpack and I can hear the alarm go off. I get about, and I'm pushing, like I'm maxed out on my heart rate. I get about 25 minutes in and I'm going, I don't think I pushed start on the timer. I got to stop. I got to stop and check that timer. But you fight that urge. One more lap and then you can check the timer. Well, okay, one more lap and then you can check the timer. Okay, let's think. Let's think how many laps I got. Okay. How about 5 more laps and I'll check the timer. And then finally, you'll hear the alarm go off and the moto's over. But dude, your mind's a snake, man. It'll convince you to quit. No, dude. No, man. It's your enemy.
Yeah.
Again, in lessons, especially with the students who are younger, that are working to become, they want to be competitive, top hard enduro riders that I train here in Utah. Like the thing, once they get the techniques dialed, we work on mental so much. We are constantly focusing on the mental side. And the reason for that is because I failed horribly throughout my racing career mentally. I had horrible mental game and I was weak mentally. And that's the thing that you realize is the most important part. And I always say to these guys, just like you said, your mind's not your friend. Well, I always say there's another version of you that's standing in front of your bike saying, no, don't do the thing that's hard. Yeah. Do the easy thing. Do the thing that you're comfortable with. There's another version of you trying to stop you from succeeding. And that version can be if you're on the line and you're thinking about what you need to do to beat this guy and you're going, oh, you're visualizing this guy taking you out. You're visualizing this battle that you're going to have and how it's not going to go your way.
Yeah.
That's your mind playing tricks on you. That's your mind getting in your own way. And, learning how to, view the obstacle, visualize how to hit the obstacle and trust in your ability. It sounds so simple, but
yeah, it does sound
so freaking hard.
Yeah. It all of it. Like when a guy on your level demonstrates how to get over like a hip height log, it's just like, oh, it's easy, but it's the same thing as getting over the 12-inch log. It's all this, obviously you have mechanical advantage to get over 12 that you haven't got over like a 2 or 3 foot log, but it's the same steps and
it's in repetitions. Yeah.
And you just work up to it.
And yeah, the thing that reminds me of is like people say, man, you made that look easy, right? When you see Jarvis do something or Billy do something or, whoever, you go, man, he just made it look easy. Especially those guys with that flash style. Colton. Yeah. Colton Hager, he was like the original, in my opinion, was like the original Billy Bolt type rider. And, I guess there's a few of that version, that style of riding. Billy's like the hybrid. He's like the 2.0 of everyone.
Yeah.
Taddy, I guess, was like the first dude to show that aggression, like trials style, but moto aggression. And then Colton kind of took that to the next level. And, you see Colton do a 360, right? That foot plant 360 that he does. And it's like, that seems, it looks amazing and it looks hard, but also he makes it look easy. And the reason it looks easy is because those guys, and when someone sees me hit a log and says, hey, you made that look really easy, I always say, well, that's because I have failed more times than you have ever tried.
Yeah.
And dude, that's it, man. You know, you have to have a serious obsession to get to become a rider who makes things look easy, right? Like I said, there'll be a line that I'll do that'll take me 1,000 tries, but when I do it, it looks like, oh, you just did it.
Do you ever go back?
But it took me 1,000 tries, you know?
So
well, go ahead.
So on those lines, like that, when you're talking about, you know, like 1,000 tries to do a line, and then you nail it
that one, that 170, dude, I did it in like 3.
Okay.
In fact, the next day I did it in like 5 tries.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then like years, you know, now, dude, it's like nothing. I could do it first try probably, or, you know, I mean, it was a challenging line, but it's not 170 challenging by any means. So it's cool to see my own progression for sure. But yeah, dude, regardless of that, it's like, again, you got to be okay with failing all the time.
Oh, that's me.
And, yeah, good.
I go out knowing I'm going to fuck up. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, that's going to equal success, man.
Yeah. Like crashing, like, yeah, I get a lot of kudos for my ability to just keep on going after a crash. Like, cause I can do some spectacular
dude,
crashes.
That's a good point is, you know, that's a common one, like a comment that you'll see. If I do post a good crash or something, or if I have a good one and I have video of it, I'll post it. And people go, man, you got off the bike really good. And I'm like, well, dude, it's because I'm really good at crashing, because I've crashed so many times. Again, I've failed more times than you have ever tried. And the dudes who are better than me, and there's a lot of them, they've failed more times than me. They've deliberately trained more harder and more proficiently than I have. And that's what you learn along the way. You need to learn how to deliberately focus on those weaknesses and just sit in it. And it sounds so easy. Oh yeah, I know what my weaknesses are. But just like we were talking about with mental approach, it's like your mind gets in your way. It's a lot easier to sit on the couch than go riding, especially when you ride every day. You know, you get sick of riding. It's a lot easier to sit on the couch. But, you know, it's like, that's the most extreme version of that. But that's what's happening when you choose to go on the same ride that you've done 1,000 times compared to focusing on the drill that you don't have dialed, right? Drills are boring. Most guys don't want to do the drills. You know, I can make a million different examples of this. Like, you know, there's so many guys that write me and ask me, hey, should I get a trials bike? And I say, well, if you're willing to only ride trials all the time. And when I say only ride trials, I don't mean go on a trail ride on your trials bike. I mean, commit to trials. And for the first few months, you should just practice balance and hopping the front end, hopping the rear end. Yeah. Trials, the idea of trials is really fun, but the actual process of getting decent at trials is not very much fun. You know, and
seems dull.
It's deliberate. You have to deliberately focus on the things that you aren't good at. And again, I keep saying it sounds so easy, but there's a reason why there's a lot of dudes that aren't very good riders.
That's fair. Like, I count myself in that group. Like, always progressing, but I have not reached my goals. So like,
well, that's the first step, man, is, you know, and that's the same. I mean, for me, it's the same thing. It's like, I'm always trying to progress. I always want to get better, but, you know, there's always a place to get better. And the first step, you've already succeeded on the hardest step, which is having a little bit of self-awareness and knowing that you need help to get better. Right. If I ride with somebody who's better than me, and I've rode with a lot of dudes who are better than me, I'm asking questions. I want to know, how'd you do that? Explain to me. What's your mindset, dude? I bet you a lot of this year in Endurocross, that was my question to everybody in Endurocross. What's your mindset going into this? What are you thinking about training during the week? How's your mental approach when you're on the gate? What's your mind? Like what created your success? Because your training's there, your work ethic's there, all of that there. But the thing that has created you is this. Explain to me what you have that I don't have. And I want to learn so I can be the best me that I can be, you know?
Well, they talk about that a lot. Like in Supercross, there'll be a guy who like has a breakout moment and he's like leading a charge in the first lap or something like that. And then they'll always bring up the fact that, you know, that rider, because it's usually like a backpack, right? A mid-packer to the back kind of guy. They just got lucky. And they'll be like, yeah, but historically this guy can't hold it together. Like his mental game isn't there. And then the longer he rides past their expectations for mental game, the more focus there is on that rider until inevitably he fails, right? Like,
and think of it this way, like how many times have we seen riders get a win in any of the sports, get a win and then get on a roll?
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I can win.
Yeah.
I can win. Turns out I can. You know, it's like the what was the 4-minute mile? It took years for dudes to break the 4-minute mile barrier. Under 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Running.
Yeah.
And then that year, the first dude broke the 4-minute mile, and then 6 or 7 other dudes broke that mile that year. It took years. They said it was physically impossible to run a mile in faster than 4 minutes. That's what they used to say.
Yeah.
Dude did it, and then 4 or 5 other dudes that year did it.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's like, oh, it's just here, man.
Same thing with the 360. Just here. And in motorcycles couldn't do 360s. Yeah. That was the fucking law.
100%.
And now they're doing triples.
Travis Pastrana do it.
Yeah.
Double backflip. Travis Pastrana. Well, now they're doing 3.
And front flips and like.
It's insane. Yeah. It's actually like, this is no slight against freestyle, but it's actually boring now. It's like, dang.
Because there's no.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's no like barrier anymore. It's like, oh, there's kind of no limit.
Yeah. What do you mean you can't do 4 flips yet?
Yeah, right. It's insane.
Oh, and there's one guy.
Level. Again.
There was a nobody who did like his name. I'm sure he's not a nobody because he cleaned it, but it was like on Instagram. Matt. I wish I could remember his name. I got to find it. He did a front flip 360 or something, just like off of, maybe off of the height of a car, and just like bam, and you're like, holy Christ, buddy! Like,
well, dude, and Travis Pastrana did that onto that airbag, the double backflip 360.
Yeah,
double backflip 360. Like, I'm confused thinking about how to make the bike rotate or make yourself, let alone a 250-pound motorcycle rotate like that. But
with
he did. And it keeps going.
Yep.
It keeps going. And the limits can be broken.
Yeah.
And the biggest limit is the one that you set in front of
I think so. I believe that 100%. All right, I'm going to stop that right here. Before I do, is there anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. IRC, obviously. They're always there. Yeah, dude. If you listen to the whole pod, go check, and you haven't seen the IRC Moto YouTube channel, go check it out. We're always grinding. We're always trying to put out good content that you guys can learn from. Again, that's what we were talking about this whole time. I want to continually progress this sport. I want to help continually progress this sport. If my techniques can help you and they do help you, dude, I'm stoked about that. And if you want to subscribe to that channel, check it out. I'd be stoked on that. Check out my personal media, Rich Larsen 511, Instagram. I mostly do Instagram. I'm on Facebook and other stuff, but mostly Instagram. And thanks for having me on, dude. This was a lot of fun. I love talking.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. I want to thank my guests for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. A special thank you to you, my supporters. Without you, this would not be possible. If you enjoyed the show, give it a 5-star rating. And if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. If this is your first time listening, I encourage you to take the 3-episode challenge. Once again, thank you for your continued support, and stay tuned to find out what's coming up next time.